The meeting hall of Station Kepler 442 buzzed with hundreds of different sounds. Clicks, whistles, harmonic tones, and deep rumbles mixed together as representatives from across the galaxy gathered. Ambassador Jakara of Velusia stood near the viewing platform, her blue skin shimmering under the station's artificial lights. She had seen many species come and go during her 300 years of service. None had surprised her much anymore, until today. Ambassador Jakara, a voice spoke through the translation device. "I'm Captain Sarah Chen, representing humanity. Thank you for agreeing to meet with us." Jakara turned to see the human for the first time. The creature stood upright on two legs, with strange hair growing only from the top of its head. Its skin was a light brown color and its eyes were dark. Jakara had studied the preliminary reports, but seeing a human in person was different. "Captain Chen," Jakara replied, trying to keep the concern from her voice. "I must be honest with you. The Galactic Cooperation Council assigned me to speak with you because they believe you do not understand what you are asking to do." Sarah smiled, showing her teeth. Jakara flinched slightly. She had read that humans did this to show friendliness, but it looked like a predator's threat display. "We understand perfectly," Sarah said. "We want to participate in the millennial trials." Jakara gestured for Sarah to follow her to a private viewing room. Through the transparent walls, they could see the massive arena being prepared below. Ships moved equipment into place. Holographic displays showed past battles. "Captain Chen, your planet is classified as a Class 12 death world. Do you know what that means?" Jakara asked gently. "It means Earth is considered extremely dangerous," Sarah replied. "It means your world should have killed you," Jakara said bluntly. "Most civilizations develop on Class 2 to 4 worlds. Stable climates. Predictable seasons. Few natural predators. Your planet has violent weather, dangerous animals, toxic plants, and diseases that evolve faster than most species can adapt." Sarah nodded. "Yes, that's where we come from." "Then you must understand," Jakara continued, "that species from death worlds rarely succeed in organized warfare. The harsh conditions usually mean small populations, limited resources, and individuals too focused on survival to coordinate effectively. We have had 3 other death world species apply over the millennia. All withdrew after the first trial. We won't withdraw," Sarah said simply. Jakara's skin flickered with colors that showed frustration. "The trials are not games, Captain. They determine political power, trade rights, and territory for the next 1,000 cycles. Species train for generations. They bring their best technology, their finest warriors, their most advanced strategies." "We're ready," Sarah said. "You have had faster-than-light travel for only 15 of your years." Jakara's voice rose. "Some species in the trials have had it for 10,000 cycles. They have weapons that can destroy moons, shields that can deflect stars, technology you cannot imagine." Sarah walked to the viewing window. Below, a group of Mandarian warriors practiced formations. Their exoskeletons gleamed with built-in weapon systems. Each one stood 3 meters tall. "We've studied the rules," Sarah said. "We've watched recordings of past trials. We know what we're facing." "Then you know you will be humiliated," Jakara said, not unkindly. "The council laughs at your application. They think it's a mistake. They believe you don't comprehend the difference between your capabilities and theirs." "Maybe we don't," Sarah admitted. "But we're here anyway." Jakara studied the human's face. There was no fear there, no doubt. Just calm determination. It reminded her of something, but she couldn't quite place what. "Very well." Jakara sighed. "I am assigned as your liaison. I will help you prepare, but please consider withdrawing before you embarrass your species." Sarah extended her hand, another human gesture. Jakara had learned this meant agreement or greeting. She touched the human's hand carefully. "Thank you, Ambassador," Sarah said. "We won't embarrass ourselves. I promise." The next day, the first trial was announced. High Arbiter Kelthos, a crystalline being that reflected light in rainbow patterns, floated above the assembly. "The first trial will test combat effectiveness in zero-gravity environments with spatial obstacles," Kelthos declared. "Each species will deploy a team of 10 warriors. The battlefield is a debris field from an ancient shipyard. Last team standing wins." Jakara found Sarah in the human preparation area. She expected to see advanced armor, energy weapons, and sophisticated equipment. Instead, she saw humans in simple pressure suits and holding what appeared to be projectile weapons. "Captain Chen, where is your equipment?" Jakara asked, confused. "This is it," Sarah replied. Marcus Webb, her tactical officer, was checking his weapon nearby. Those are kinetic weapons, Jakara said slowly. They fire solid projectiles using chemical reactions. Bullets, Marcus said, not looking up. They work just fine, but they're primitive. Other species have plasma rifles, particle beams, molecular disruptors. Jakara couldn't believe what she was seeing. Those sound complicated, Sarah said. What happens if they break? They're designed not to break, Jakara explained. But if they do? Marcus asked, finally looking up. Jakara paused. Then, you would need specialized repair equipment, and training, and replacement parts. And if our guns break, Sarah said, gesturing to the weapons, we can fix them with basic tools. We can make ammunition from raw materials. They're simple. Simple is reliable. Jakara realized these humans either had no idea what they were doing, or they had a completely different philosophy about warfare. She wasn't sure which was worse. The teams assembled at the arena entrance. The Mandarins had brought their power armor. The Celestians floated in containment fields that generated artificial gravity around them. The Volusians wore energy shields that shimmered with protective force. The humans floated in basic pressure suits with handheld thrusters for movement. In the viewing galleries, thousands of beings from across the galaxy gathered to watch. A betting pool had started. The odds on humans surviving more than 10 minutes were 60-1. Look at them. One observer clicked in amusement. They don't even have proper armor. I heard they come from a Class 12 world, another whistled. Probably never even seen zero-gravity combat before. This will be over quickly, a third rumbled. I almost feel sorry for them. Jakara sat in the liaison section watching the screens. Sarah and her team floated near the entrance to the debris field. The captain was speaking to her team, though Jakara couldn't hear what she was saying. High Arbiter Kelthos's voice echoed through the arena. Teams, prepare. The trial begins in 30 seconds. The debris field appeared on the screens. Thousands of pieces of broken ships, old station components, and space junk floated in a zero-gravity zone 5 kilometers across. It was a maze of metal and danger. 15 seconds, Kelthos announced. Jakara watched the human team. They weren't checking their weapons or adjusting their shields. They were watching each other, making small gestures. She realized they were communicating without words, using only hand signals. 5 seconds. The humans gripped their weapons. Sarah gave one final signal. Begin. The arena exploded into action. Energy beams lit up the darkness. Plasma bolts streaked between debris. The Mandarins charged forward in formation, their heavy armor smashing through smaller obstacles. The Celestians moved gracefully, using the debris for cover. The Volusians activated their shields and advanced methodically, and the humans disappeared. Jakara leaned forward, confused. One moment they were at the entrance. The next moment they were gone, scattered into the debris field like smoke. Where did they go? Someone in the gallery asked. The screens tracked all teams, except the humans. They had turned off every electronic signature. No heat, no radio, no energy weapons charging. They had become ghosts in the metal maze. The first engagement happened 3 minutes in. A Mandarian patrol rounded a large piece of hull plating. Bullets hit them from 3 different directions. The shots were precise, targeting joints in their armor where the plating was weakest. 2 Mandarins went spinning off into space, their suits breached. The third retreated. Did you see that? An observer gasped. They're hunting, Jakara whispered, suddenly understanding. They're not fighting. They're hunting. For the next hour, the pattern repeated. The humans never engaged in direct combat. They used the debris itself as weapons, cutting tethers to send chunks of metal spinning into opponents. They led other teams into ambushes. They appeared, struck, and vanished. Most importantly, they never stopped moving. Other teams would engage, then rest to recover energy. The humans just kept going, and going, and going. By the 2-hour mark, other teams were exhausted. Their warriors were breathing hard, systems overheating, energy reserves depleting. The humans showed no signs of slowing down. Marcus Webb's voice came over the comm system, translated for all to hear. Target the Celestian containment generator. 3 rounds, center mass, 3 shots rang out. A Celestian's gravity field flickered and died. The being floated helplessly, unable to maneuver. They're coordinating perfectly, Jakara realized. Without fancy communications, without AI assistance, just working together. In the gallery, the mocking had stopped. Species watched in growing silence as team after team was eliminated. Jakara spent the night reading everything she could find about Earth. The more she read, the more concerned she became. Humans didn't just survive on their death world, they had conquered it. They had climbed the highest mountains for no reason except to prove they could. They had crossed oceans in primitive boats. They had survived in frozen wastelands and burning deserts. Most terrifying of all, they had hunted animals much larger and stronger than themselves, not by being faster or stronger, but by simply refusing to give up. They would chase prey for days until the animal collapsed from exhaustion. This is insane, Jakara muttered to herself. Their whole evolution is insane. The second trial was announced the next morning. The teams would fight in an asteroid field with extreme temperature variations. One side of each asteroid was heated by a nearby star to over 400 degrees. The other side was frozen at minus 200 degrees. Most species needed special equipment just to survive these conditions. Jakara found Sarah and Marcus reviewing maps of the arena. "Captain, this trial will be even more difficult than the last," Jakara warned. "The temperature shifts alone could kill you." "What's the record for longest time survived in this environment?" Marcus asked. "The Kronar species lasted 4 hours in the last trial," Jakara replied. "They have natural armor that insulates them." "We'll aim for 5, Sarah said simply. Jakara's skin flickered with worry. "Captain, your suits aren't rated for these extremes. You'll be at a severe disadvantage." "Ambassador," Marcus said, looking up from his maps. "Humans live everywhere on Earth. We have people living in places where the temperature drops to minus 60 degrees. We have people living where it reaches plus 50 degrees, sometimes in the same region, just different seasons. We adapt. But not these extremes," Jakara protested. Sarah smiled. "No, but we're good at being uncomfortable. It's kind of our thing." The teams entered the arena. The Mandarins had upgraded their armor with better insulation. The Celestians had enhanced their containment fields. The Kronar, massive beings with thick shells, looked confident. They had won this trial type before. The humans checked their suits, their weapons, and each other. That was all. The trial began. Within the first hour, a pattern emerged. Other species moved quickly from asteroid to asteroid, trying to minimize exposure to extreme temperatures. They would fight briefly, then retreat to safe zones to recover. The humans did something different. They stayed in the hostile zones. They moved slowly and carefully, conserving energy. When other teams rushed past them seeking comfort, the humans were waiting in ambush. "They're not trying to avoid the environment," Jakara said to the observation team. "They're using it." A Mandarian squad pursued a human team member onto the hot side of an asteroid. The Mandarian armor began overheating warnings. The human led them deeper into the heat, moving from shadow to shadow, managing exposure. After 15 minutes, the Mandarins had to retreat. Their systems were failing. The human casually followed them back into the shade and eliminated them one by one as their armor struggled to cool down. "Impossible," a Kronar observer rumbled. "That human should be dead. The heat signature shows surface temperature over 350 degrees in that zone." But the human wasn't dead. Jakara watched on the thermal scanners as the human's body temperature rose. Sweat poured from their skin, and their heart rate increased. But they kept moving, kept fighting, kept surviving. "They're cooling themselves with water evaporation," a Celestian scientist said in amazement. "Their bodies produce liquid that evaporates and removes heat. It's crude but effective." 3 hours into the trial, most teams had withdrawn. The environmental stress was too much. Even the mighty Kronar were struggling. Their shells protected them, but they couldn't move quickly in the extreme temperatures. The humans were still going. They looked exhausted. Their movements were slower. But they hadn't stopped. Marcus led his team in a pursuit of the last Kronar squad. The Kronar tried their usual tactic, used their superior strength and armor to overwhelm opponents in direct combat. They charged at the humans in the neutral zone of an asteroid. The humans ran away, cowards. A Kronar warrior rumbled over the comm. But they weren't running in panic. They were running with purpose. The humans led the Kronar on a chase through the asteroid field, jumping from rock to rock. The Kronar, heavy and powerful, followed. After 20 minutes of pursuit, the Kronar began to slow. After 40 minutes, they were struggling to continue. After an hour, they could barely move. "What's happening to them?" High Arbiter Kelthos demanded. "They're exhausted," Jakara said quietly. "The humans are persistence hunting them." "Persistence hunting?" Kelthos asked. "An ancient technique from Earth," Jakara explained. "Humans aren't fast. They aren't strong. But they can run forever. They would chase prey until it collapsed from exhaustion. Then they would simply walk up and kill it. In the arena, the Kronar had stopped moving. Their massive bodies heaved as they struggled to breathe. The humans approached carefully, weapons ready. But there was no fight left in the Kronar. They yielded. The trial ended with humanity victorious. But it was the way they won that had everyone talking. That night, High Arbiter Kelthos called an emergency council meeting. Jakara attended as the human liaison. "This is unnatural," General Krisha of Mandara declared. "No species should be able to function in those conditions for that long. They must be using enhancements. Genetic modifications. Something. We've tested them," Dr. Yelnara of Celestia reported. She was a xenobiologist who had examined the human team. "They're completely natural. This is just how they evolved." "That's impossible," Krisha insisted. "It's not impossible," Yelnara said, her voice filled with wonder and fear. "It's just terrifying. Let me share what I've learned about human biology." She displayed a hologram of a human body. "They have redundant organs. 2 kidneys when one would suffice. 2 lungs. A heart with multiple chambers that can partially function even if damaged. Their bones are incredibly dense, designed to survive impacts that would shatter most species' skeletons. That doesn't explain their endurance," another council member said. "They evolved to run," Yelnara continued. "Their bodies are designed for it. They have a system of heat regulation that allows them to function in extreme temperatures. They can survive for extended periods without food or water, and most remarkably, they have a chemical system that floods their body with performance-enhancing compounds when they're stressed." "You mean combat drugs?" Krisha asked. "No," Yelnara said. "I mean they produce their own drugs naturally. Adrenaline increases their strength and pain tolerance. Endorphins block pain signals. Their bodies are natural combat enhancement systems." The council chamber fell silent. "There's more," Yelnara said quietly. "They consume toxins for pleasure. Alcohol is a literal poison. Capsaicin causes pain responses. They eat it deliberately. On purpose. For enjoyment. Why would any species do that?" someone asked. "Because their world tried to kill them so many ways that they evolved to survive everything," Jakara said. "Even poison became something they could handle. Then play with. Then enjoy." Kelthos's crystalline body flickered with uncertain colors. "What do you recommend, Ambassador Zakara?" "I recommend we stop underestimating them," Zakara said, "and start learning from them." Meanwhile, in the human quarters, Lieutenant James Okafor was treating minor injuries on his teammates. He was their medic, though he was also a fully trained combat soldier. Humans didn't specialize the way other species did. They expected everyone to be capable of multiple roles. Shikara visited them, curious to learn more. "Ambassador," Sarah greeted her warmly. "Come in. We were just finishing up." "I wanted to check on your team," Shikara said. "The report said several of you were injured." "Nothing serious," James said, bandaging Marcus's arm. "Burns mostly. Some dehydration. We'll be ready for the next trial." "How can you be so calm?" Shikara asked. "You were injured. You pushed your bodies to their limits. Don't you need time to recover?" "We've got a whole day before the next trial," Marcus said with a grin. "That's plenty of time." Shikara studied these strange beings. They were smaller than Kronar, weaker than Mandarans, more fragile than most species she knew. But there was something in them that other species lacked. A fire, a refusal to quit. "Can I ask you something?" Shikara said. "Of course," Sarah replied. "Why did you really come to these trials? Your planet must have told you the risks. You knew you would be outmatched in technology and strength. Why risk it?" Sarah was quiet for a moment. "Because we needed to know." "Know what?" "If we could stand with the rest of the galaxy as equals," Sarah said. "Earth is isolated. We're far from the main trade routes. We have resources, but we're not rich. We have people, but we're not populous compared to galactic standards. The only thing we have to offer is ourselves, our abilities, our determination. We needed to prove we belonged here." "You've proven that," Shikara said softly. "Not yet," Marcus said. "We've won 2 trials, but the galaxy still sees us as a curiosity, a lucky primitive species. We need to show them we're more than that." "What are you then?" Shikara asked. James looked up from his medical supplies. "We're survivors. Every human alive is descended from survivors. Our ancestors survived ice ages, droughts, predators, diseases, famines, wars, everything Earth threw at us. The third trial began with 12 teams scattered across a simulated planetary surface. Each team started with limited resources. To win, they needed to control key strategic points while eliminating other teams. The twist was simple. Alliances were encouraged, but only one team could claim final victory. Jakara watched the opening moves with interest. The Mandarians immediately attacked the nearest weak team, securing their resources. The Celestians opened diplomatic channels with multiple species, offering temporary alliances. The Kronar isolated themselves, trusting their strength alone. The humans did something unexpected. They approached the Volusian team with an offer. Volusian Commander, Sarah's voice carried over the comm. We propose a genuine alliance. No betrayal. We work together until we're the last two teams. Then we compete fairly for final victory. The Volusian commander hesitated. Human captain, you understand that such agreements are typically broken the moment one side sees advantage in betrayal? Yes, Sarah replied. But we're not typical. We keep our word always. Why should I trust you? Because we're asking you to, Sarah said simply. That has to be worth something. After a long pause, the Volusian commander agreed. Very well. We will trust you, humans, but know that if you betray us, my species will remember. We won't betray you, James said over the comm. That's not how we work. The alliance proved effective. Humans provided aggressive tactics and endurance. Volusians provided defensive shields and energy weapons. Together, they eliminated 3 teams in the first day. Other teams noticed. The Celestians approached them with an offer to join a larger coalition. Sarah accepted, but with the same condition. No betrayal until the end. You're making yourselves vulnerable, Jakara warned Sarah during a break in the trial. The moment others see weakness, they'll turn on you. Maybe, Sarah agreed. But we're also building something they don't have. What's that? Trust, Marcus said. Real trust. Watch what happens. As the trial progressed, something strange occurred. The human-led alliance kept its word. When a Celestian team member was injured, humans risked themselves to provide medical aid. When Volusians were low on resources, humans shared from their own supplies. This wasn't supposed to happen in the trials. Resources were meant to be hoarded. Allies were meant to be expendable. But humans treated their allies like pack members. And something shifted. A Mandarian team, battered from fighting the Kronar, approached the human alliance with a desperate request. We cannot win alone, the Mandarian commander admitted. If we join you, will you honor your word? Yes, Sarah said without hesitation. How can I believe you? Because we've kept our word to everyone else so far, Sarah replied. Check with them. Ask if we've betrayed anyone. The Mandarian did. Every species in the alliance confirmed the same thing. Humans kept their promises. It was strange. It was irrational. But it was true. The Mandarians joined. High Arbiter Kelthos watched from the observation deck, confused. This isn't how the trial works. They're supposed to be eliminating each other by now. The humans are rewriting the rules, Jakara said. Not the official rules. The unspoken ones. The assumptions we make about how warfare works. But they'll lose, Krisha insisted. The moment they lower their guard, someone will strike. Will they? Dr. Yelnara asked. Look at the formation they've created. Each species covering another's weakness, each team protecting the others. It's stronger than any single team could be. By the third day of the trial, the human alliance controlled 2/3 of the strategic points. Only the Kronar remained outside the alliance, too proud to join. And one team of Celestians who had refused the alliance, planning to wait and strike at the end. The isolated Celestian team made their move. They attacked a human patrol, hoping to create chaos in the alliance. It was a perfect opportunity for betrayal. The Volusians could let the humans fall and gain advantage. Instead, the Volusians immediately came to the humans' defense. So did the Mandarians. The entire alliance rushed to protect their human packmates. The isolated Celestian team was overwhelmed in minutes. James had been injured in the attack, taking a plasma bolt to the shoulder, protecting a Volusian soldier. Jakara watched as the humans treated him in the field. I'm fine, James insisted, though his face was pale with pain. It's not that bad. You were injured protecting my soldier, the Volusian commander said, approaching. Why, you could have taken cover. Because she's part of our team, James said simply. We don't leave team members behind. The Volusian commander stood silent for a moment. Then he removed his personal shield generator and handed it to James. "I cannot heal you as you heal others," the commander said. "But I can protect you. Take this. It's the least I can offer for your loyalty." "I can't take your shield," James protested. "You already have," the commander said. "Your friendship is my shield." "This device is just technology." Jakara felt something shift in her understanding. This wasn't just military tactics. The humans were doing something far more fundamental. They were building bonds, real ones, the kind that transcended strategy and survival. They were creating family. The trial entered its final phase. Only the human alliance and the Kronar remained. The Kronar had fortified a position in mountainous terrain, using their strength and armor to create an impregnable defense. The alliance gathered to plan their assault. "We could bombard them from range," Celestian suggested. "We could wait them out," a Mandarian offered. "Starve them of resources." "Or," Sarah said slowly, "we could talk to them." Everyone turned to look at her. "Talk?" Krisha asked over the comlink from the observation deck. "To the Kronar? They're the most stubborn species in the galaxy." "Stubborn doesn't mean stupid," Marcus said. "They're alone. They know they can't win against all of us. They're just too proud to surrender." "So what do you propose?" the Volusian commander asked. "We offer them something their pride can accept," Sarah said. "We offer them a place in the Alliance, not as defeated enemies, but as respected warriors who chose to join strength with strength." "That's insane," someone said. "They'll never accept." "Let me try," James said. "I'll go talk to them." "They'll kill you," Jakara protested. "Maybe," James said. "But I don't think so. The Kronar respect courage, and it takes courage to walk into their fortress unarmed." Before anyone could stop him, James started walking toward the Kronar position. No weapons, no armor. Just walking. Jakara held her breath as she watched. The Kronar could vaporize him with a single shot. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then a Kronar voice rumbled over the open channel. "Human, why do you approach?" "To talk," James called back. "Not to fight. Just to talk. We have nothing to say to you." "Then listen," James said, still walking. "You've fought well. You've held this position against superior numbers. You've shown strength and courage. Everyone watching knows this. Your honor is intact. We will not surrender," the Kronar commander rumbled. "I'm not asking you to," James said. He was now within firing range. "Any Kronar could kill him easily. I'm asking you to join us, not as defeated warriors, but as allies. We need your strength. We respect your combat skills, and we want to fight alongside you, not against you." "Why should we trust you?" "Because I'm standing here unarmed, trusting you not to kill me," James said simply. "If that's not proof of trust, what is?" The Kronar were silent for a long moment. Then slowly the commander emerged from the fortification. He was massive, twice James's height, armored in natural shell that had survived countless battles. "You are either very brave or very foolish." "Human," the Kronar commander said. "Probably both," James admitted with a smile. The Kronar commander studied him. Then, to everyone's shock, the massive being knelt down to bring his head level with James. "In all my cycles, no one has offered me alliance as equals," the Kronar said. "Always they demand surrender. Or they flee. But you walk toward danger and offer friendship. This is strange. This is not normal. But I find I respect it." "Does that mean you'll join us?" James asked. "It means," the Kronar said, "that I will consider it. Give me time to consult with my warriors." An hour later, the Kronar emerged from their fortress. They had made their decision. "We will join your alliance," the commander announced, "not because we must, but because we choose to." The human called James has shown us that strength can be found in unity without shame. This is a lesson worth learning. High Arbiter Kelthos didn't know how to score the trial. Every team in the arena was now part of one massive alliance. There was no one left to fight. Finally, after consulting the ancient rules, a decision was reached. By unanimous agreement of all teams, and by demonstrating superior strategy in coalition building, humanity is declared the winner of the third trial, Kelthos announced. But the announcement felt hollow, because the real victory wasn't on any scoreboard. The real victory was the dozen different species standing together, bound not by contracts or temporary convenience, but by something the galaxy hadn't seen in millennia: genuine loyalty. That evening, the Alliance held a gathering. It wasn't official. There were no cameras or observers, just warriors from different worlds sharing stories and food, Chikara found Sarah on an observation deck looking out at the stars. "You've changed everything," Chikara said softly. "Do you realize that?" "We just did what felt right," Sarah replied. The alarm started at dawn, not the gentle chimes that announced trial times. These were harsh, urgent sounds that Chikara had only heard once before in her 300 years. Emergency evacuation signals. She ran to the command center where High Arbiter Kelthos was coordinating with military commanders from across the galaxy. "What's happening?" Chikara demanded. "Long-range scanners detected them 30 minutes ago," Kelthos said, his crystalline body flickering with colors of fear. "The Devourers. A scout fleet. They're heading straight for the station." Chikara felt her blood freeze. The Devourers. The ancient enemy. The species that had nearly destroyed the Galactic Cooperation 5,000 cycles ago. They used biological warfare, turned victims into more soldiers, and consumed everything in their path. The Cooperation had barely survived by sacrificing entire systems to slow them down, and even then, victory had only come when the Devourers mysteriously withdrew. "We need to evacuate," General Krisha said. "All non-military personnel must leave immediately." "The trials," Kelthos started. "Are over," Krisha interrupted. "This is not a game. This is survival." Sarah burst into the command center with Marcus and James behind her. "What's our status?" Sarah demanded. "Your status is evacuation," Krisha said firmly. "This is not your fight, human." "You're under attack and you want us to run?" Marcus asked, confused. "You don't understand," Chikara said gently. "The Devourers are not like anything you've faced. They don't fight for territory or resources. They consume. They assimilate. They turn our own people against us. The protocols are clear. Non-military personnel evacuate while defense forces delay them." "Delay them?" Sarah asked. "Not defeat them?" The command center fell silent. "We don't defeat the Devourers," Kelthos said quietly. "We survive them. If we're lucky." Sarah looked at the tactical display. The Devourer scout fleet was 3 hours away. 12 ships. The station had defensive forces, but they were designed for small conflicts, not a military invasion. "This is insane," Sarah said. "You're not even trying to win." "You don't understand," Krisha repeated. "We learned 5,000 cycles ago. Fighting the Devourers head-on is suicide. We contain, we delay. We evacuate. We survive. That's not survival," Marcus said. "That's just dying slower. It's the only way." Krisha started. "No," Sarah interrupted. "It's not." "Chikara, translate a question for me. Ask everyone in this room, how do we kill them?" Chikara translated. The silence was deafening. "You don't kill the Devourers," a Celestian admiral finally said. "You can't. Their ships regenerate. Their soldiers multiply. Every casualty you inflict becomes 2 more enemies. Fighting them only makes them stronger." "Everything can be killed," James said quietly. "Everything. You just need to find the right way." "And if there is no right way?" Kelthos asked. "Then we make one," Sarah said. "How much time before they arrive?" 2 hours, 43 minutes, a technician reported. "Then we have 2 hours and 43 minutes to figure out how to kill them," Sarah said. "Who's with me?" Chikara expected silence, expected the galactic commanders to dismiss the humans' arrogance. Instead, the Kronar commander stepped forward. "I am with you," he rumbled. "Better to die fighting than running." The Volusian commander nodded. "Our alliance holds. If humans fight, we fight." One by one, the teams from the trial stepped forward. Mandarians, Celestians, even species that hadn't been in the alliance, all of them choosing to fight. General Krisha stared at them. "This is madness. We have protocols." "Your protocols failed 5,000 cycles ago," Sarah said bluntly. "You barely survived. You lost entire systems. Billions died. And your solution is to do the same thing again?" "What choice do we have?" Krisha demanded. "We change how we fight," Marcus said. He was already studying the old records of the Devourer War. "Look at this. Every engagement, the Cooperation fought defensively. Tried to hold positions, protect areas. The Devourers overwhelmed them every time. Because their numbers are infinite," Krisha said. "No," James said, reading over Marcus's shoulder. "Because you were protecting things. You were predictable. You gave them targets they could focus on." "What are you suggesting?" Kelthos asked. "We don't defend," Sarah said. "We attack. We hit them in ways they don't expect. We make them react to us instead of the other way around." "That's suicide," a Mandarian colonel said. Maybe, Sarah admitted, but I'd rather die trying something new than die repeating old mistakes. Dr. Yelnara had been quiet, studying her datapad. Now she spoke up. There might be something. In the old records. The Devourers have hive ships, large vessels that coordinate the smaller ones. They have biological control centers, living organs that direct the fleet. Can we target them? Marcus asked immediately. Theoretically, yes, Yelnara said. But you'd have to board the ships, fight through thousands of Devourers, reach the control centers, destroy them physically. No species has ever succeeded. Most who tried were assimilated before they got close. Most species aren't from Deathworlds, James said quietly. Everyone turned to look at the humans. You can't be serious, Shakara said. You want to board Devourer ships alone? Not alone, Sarah corrected. With our alliance. But yes, we board them. We kill the control centers. We end this. It's impossible, Krisha said. Impossible is just something that hasn't been done yet, Marcus replied. The Kronar commander laughed, a deep rumbling sound. I like these humans. They are stupid, yes, but bravely stupid. I will board these ships with them. As will we, the Volusian commander said. And us. The Mandarians agreed. Sarah looked at General Krisha. Are you with us? Or do you want to keep following protocols that don't work? Krisha was silent for a long moment. Then slowly, his exoskeleton shifted into a combat configuration. I will follow you into this madness, human. If we die, at least we'll die trying something different. The next 2 hours were chaos. The station's entire defensive strategy was rewritten. Instead of static defenses, they prepared boarding parties. Instead of trying to stop the Devourer ships, they would let them get close. Draw them in, then strike at their hearts. Shakara found herself in the armory, helping prepare equipment. Sarah was checking her weapons nearby. You don't have to do this, Shakara said. You're not military. You're trial participants. You could evacuate with honor, could we? Sarah asked. Could we really live with ourselves knowing we ran when we could have fought? Most species would, Jakara said honestly. We're not most species, Sarah replied. She looked at Jakara. Are you evacuating? Jakara thought about it. She was a diplomat, not a warrior. She had lived a long, peaceful life. She could leave. Should leave. It would be the rational choice. No, she heard herself say. I'm staying. If you're fighting, someone needs to document it. So the galaxy remembers, Sarah smiled. Then I guess we're both being stupid together. The Devourers arrived exactly on schedule. 12 ships. Organic things that looked like they were grown rather than built. They approached the station confident. Why wouldn't they be? They had never lost. The station's defenses fired. Not to destroy the Devourer ships, but to anger them. Draw them closer. Make them focus on the station. It worked. The Devourer ships accelerated, launching boarding pods at the station. Hundreds of them. Each pod carrying dozens of Devourer soldiers. The station's defenders met them. But not at the docking bays as expected. They met them in the corridors, in the maintenance tunnels, in close quarters where the Devourers couldn't use their numbers effectively, and the humans taught the galaxy a new kind of warfare. The Devourers were strong. They were fast. They were fearless, but they had never fought persistence predators before. The humans didn't try to win every engagement. They hit and ran. They exhausted the Devourers. They made them chase. They turned the station into a hunting ground. More importantly, they taught the other species to fight this way. The Volusians learned to use their shields aggressively, ramming Devourers instead of just defending. The Mandarians learned to fight in small mobile units instead of rigid formations. The Kronar learned that sometimes retreat was just another form of attack, but the real battle was happening on the Devourer ships. Sarah led the first boarding party. They used the Devourers' own boarding pods, captured and repurposed. They launched from the station while the Devourers were distracted, flying straight into the nearest hive ship. It was hell. The inside of a Devourer ship was organic. Walls that pulsed, floors that moved. The air was thick with spores that tried to infect them. Devourer soldiers came from everywhere, clawing, biting, trying to overwhelm them. But the humans kept moving. James treated injuries on the move. Marcus called out tactics in short, sharp commands. Sarah led from the front, her weapon never stopping, and the Alliance followed. The Volusians protected the humans with shields. The Kronar smashed through obstacles. The Mandarians provided covering fire. Different species, different abilities working as one. They found the control center deep in the ship. A massive organic chamber with a pulsing, brain-like structure in the center. Thousands of devourers guarded it. "This is suicide," Evolution Soldier said, breathing hard. "Yes," Sarah agreed. "James, how long can you keep us alive?" "Maybe 5 minutes if I'm really good," James said, already preparing medical supplies. "Then we've got 5 minutes to destroy that thing," Sarah said. "Everyone ready?" They charged. The Galactic Cooperation Council convened in emergency session. Representatives from every member species filled the chamber. And for the first time in recorded history, the session was held not in the grand halls of the capital world, but in a damaged medical bay on Station Kepler 442. They met where warriors from different worlds lay wounded together, where the costs of victory were visible on every bed and in every bandage. High Arbiter Kelthos spoke first. Long-range sensors confirm the approach of the main Devourer fleet. Over 3,000 ships. They will arrive in 4 standard days. The Council must decide, do we evacuate the rim worlds and fall back to defensive positions? Or do we stand and fight? General Krisha stood, his exoskeleton bearing new scars from the recent battle. High Arbiter, with respect, that is the wrong question. The question is not if we fight, but how we fight. The Scout Fleet taught us that our old methods don't work. The humans showed us a new way. You want us to adopt human tactics across the entire Cooperation Defense Force in 4 days? A Celestian Admiral asked. That's impossible. Impossible is just something that hasn't been done yet, Krisha said. And several beings who had fought alongside the humans smiled at the familiar words. Sarah Chen stepped forward, still bandaged from her wounds. High Arbiter, the Cooperation has incredible advantages. Advanced technology, vast resources, thousands of years of military knowledge. But you've been fighting the same way for millennia. The Devourers know your tactics. They've adapted to them. And you think we should abandon thousands of cycles of military doctrine? Kelthos asked. No, Marcus said, joining Sarah. We think you should add to it. Combine your strengths with ours, your technology with our adaptability, your knowledge with our determination. Dr. Yelnara displayed a hologram of the galaxy. I've analyzed the Devourer expansion pattern. They're not just attacking randomly. They're following their old invasion routes from 5,000 cycles ago. They expect us to defend the same way we did before. Then we don't, James said simply. We give them something they've never seen. A united force that fights like Earth species do. Together, aggressively, with no retreat. The Kronar commander stood, his massive form dominating the room. The humans are right. For 5,000 cycles, the Cooperation has survived through retreat and delay. Perhaps it is time we learn to truly fight. I pledge the Kronar military to this new doctrine. The Volusian commander rose. Volusia stands with humanity. We have seen their way of war. It works. One by one, species pledge their forces, not just to fight, but to fight together, to combine their abilities under a unified command. Who would command such a force? Kelthos asked. Every eye turned to Sarah Chen. No, Sarah said immediately. I'm not qualified to command a galactic defense force. I'm just a ship captain. You're the one who taught us to think differently, Shakara said. You showed us that impossible things can be done if we're willing to try. I agree, General Krisha said. I will serve as strategic commander, but tactical coordination should fall to Captain Chen. The troops trust her. They'll follow her. Sarah looked at the faces around her, species she had met weeks ago, species who should have been strangers, but they weren't strangers anymore. They were allies, friends, pack. If I do this, Sarah said slowly, we do it my way. No sacred tactics, no untouchable doctrines. If something doesn't work, we change it immediately. Can the Cooperation accept that? The Cooperation has accepted many changes in the past weeks, Kelthos said. We can accept one more. Captain Chen, you have command. The next 4 days were the most intense in galactic history. The entire Cooperation military was reorganized, not replacing their structure but adding to it. Mixed species strike teams were formed, combining the strengths of each race. Felucian shields protecting Mandarian heavy weapons. Human boarding teams backed by Kronar strength. Celestian medical units supporting everyone. Sarah worked 20 hours a day, barely sleeping. Marcus coordinated logistics. James trained medical teams in human emergency medicine techniques. Every species contributed their knowledge, Shakara watched it all, documenting everything. She saw species who had been rivals for centuries training together. She saw warriors from different worlds sharing meals and stories. She saw the impossible becoming real. On the third day, Sarah collapsed from exhaustion. Shakara found her in a quiet corridor sitting against a wall. "You need rest," Shakara said gently. "Can't," Sarah mumbled. "Too much to do." "The others can handle it for a few hours," Shakara said. "You're not alone anymore, Sarah. That's what you taught us. Remember?" Sarah looked up at her friend. "I'm scared, Shakara. What if I'm wrong? What if this doesn't work and thousands die because of my decisions? Then thousands will die having tried something new," Shakara said. "Instead of dying repeating old failures, you gave us hope, Sarah. That's worth more than you know." "I just want everyone to survive," Sarah said quietly. "I know," Shakara said. "That's why we follow you. Because you care. Because you fight for all of us. Not just your own species." The Devourer fleet arrived on schedule. 3,000 ships emerged from faster-than-light travel at the edge of the system. They moved in their traditional formation, the same pattern they'd used 5,000 cycles ago. They expected the cooperation to fall back, to defend key positions, to slowly lose ground. They were wrong. The cooperation fleet met them head-on. Not in defensive formations, but in mobile strike groups. Each group was a mix of species, coordinated by human tactical officers who understood how to fight. Aggressively, the Devourers tried their usual tactics: swarm, overwhelm, assimilate, but the cooperation fleet didn't stand still to be swarmed. They moved, adapted. When one tactic didn't work, they tried another. Within minutes. Within seconds, human persistence hunting became galactic strategy. The fleet didn't try to destroy every Devourer ship. They targeted the hive ships, wounded them, made them retreat, then chased them. The Devourers had never been hunted before. It confused them, slowed them. "All strike teams, this is Chen," Sarah's voice carried across all channels. "Remember your training. Protect your packmates. Trust your allies. Show these Devourers what it means to fight a united galaxy." The battle was massive. Ships exploded. Space lit up with weapons fire. But this time the cooperation wasn't losing. They were holding. Even pushing back, the boarding actions began. Hundreds of mixed-species teams launched simultaneously at Devourer hive ships. The Devourers couldn't defend them all. Teams reached control centers, destroyed them. Ship after ship went dark. Sarah led the assault on the largest hive ship, the one coordinating the entire fleet. Her team included Volusians, Kronar, Mandarians, humans, and Celestians. They fought through corridors of organic horror, protecting each other, refusing to quit. They reached the central control chamber. It was vast, the size of a city block, filled with pulsing biological machinery and guarded by thousands of Devourers. "This is it," Marcus said. "If we take this down, the whole fleet loses coordination. Then we take it down," the Kronar warrior rumbled. They charged as one. The battle was brutal. The Devourers fought desperately to protect their command center. The boarding team took casualties, heavy ones, but they kept fighting. James fell protecting a Volusian soldier. A Mandarian sacrificed himself to clear a path. A Celestian healer died keeping others alive. Each loss hurt, but it didn't stop them. Sarah reached the core with Marcus and Jakara, who had insisted on coming to document the final battle. They planted enough explosives to crack a moon. "Time to go," Marcus said. They ran. Behind them, the Devourers swarmed. The team fought a running retreat, every species covering the others. A Kronar held a choke point alone for 2 full minutes, allowing the others to escape. He didn't survive, but his sacrifice saved dozens. They made it to their ship and launched just as the explosives detonated. The hive ship's control center exploded, and with it the coordination of the entire Devourer fleet. Without central command, the Devourer ships began to drift. Some tried to continue fighting individually, but without coordination they were vulnerable. The cooperation fleet surrounded them, destroyed them, one by one. By the end of the day, the Devourer invasion was broken. Not completely destroyed, but broken. The survivors fled into deep space, and this time, the cooperation didn't just let them go. They chased, hunted, made sure the Devourers understood they were no longer the predators. They were the prey. The victory celebrations across the galaxy lasted for weeks. But on station Kepler 442 there was a different ceremony, a memorial service for the fallen. Representatives from every species gathered to honor those who had died. Human names were read alongside Velusian ones. Kronar warriors mourned beside Mandarians. The entire galaxy grieved together. Sarah stood at the memorial wall looking at the names. So many names. James Okafor was there. He had survived the initial battles but died in the final assault, saving a Celestian he had befriended. He was a good man, Shakara said softly, standing beside her. He was family, Sarah said. They all were. The Council wants to honor you, Shakara said. Award you the highest military decoration in the cooperation. Make you a permanent admiral. I don't want it, Sarah said. I didn't do this for glory. I did it because it needed to be done.